What's up, y'all, and welcome back to the channel. It's Friday. I hope everybody out there is doing good. Now, with that said, I want to thank everybody for clicking on this video to give it a watch. I appreciate the continued support. Now, let's get down to business, and I want to revisit this Malcom Jamal Warner situation because there's a rumor out there that's floating around that is stating that a guy by the name of Geist is responsible for Malcom Jamal Warner's death, and that Malcolm's widow, Tanisha, is responsible for actually paying this guy to get rid of Malcom Jamal Warner. I want you guys to take a look and a listen at this video where Geist is talking about the situation that unfolded the day that Malcom Jamal Warner passed, and then I'll be back.
Sunday we had actually one of my friends and a volunteer as well was in the area and was able to go in and make the rescue. So he's a local surfer, happened to be here and immediately went in and was able to find Mr. Warner, unfortunately below the surface, near the floor of the ocean. Was able to pull him to the surface and perform the emergency protocol that we have in place. When that wasn't effective, then he was able to quickly remove him from the water, and he and there were two doctors that were also here just on vacation, and between the three of them they were able to provide or perform CPR for more than 30 minutes, probably more like 45 minutes, and unfortunately it was not successful.
Alright, so you heard what Geist had to say about the situation. Now, the initial reports state that surfers and a volunteer lifeguard spotted a group in distress, and a bystander used a surfboard to push Warner's 8-year-old daughter to safety while Warner was pulled from the water and given CPR for 45 minutes. Now, what's interesting about this dynamic is the fact that initial local reports and bystander accounts differed on whether he was actively rescuing his 8-year-old daughter at the same exact moment he was being pulled under by an alleged rip current. And so it's reasonable to pose the question, was his daughter in the water at the same time or not? I feel that she wasn't in the water. I could be wrong and I could be way off. But you have people saying that he was trying to save his daughter, and then you have other people that are saying that he wasn't trying to save his daughter. And in the clip that I just played you all, Mike never made mention of Malcolm's daughter being involved whatsoever, right? Doesn't mean that she wasn't involved. He just didn't mention it. So I just feel personally that Malcolm's daughter was used as a focal point for a concocted plan that was drawn up by who? I don't know. But it's just something about his death that is so mysterious. I just don't believe he passed away in the fashion that they said he passed away in. Now, what I want to do right here is read you something that was sent to me from this particular clip, and it says here, Geist is the deleter of Malcom Jamal Warner. Tanisha planned a trip to Costa Rica starting in February 2025 for June 2025. She took Malcolm's daughter to Costa Rica without Malcom. Then in July 2025, Tanisha lured Malcom to Costa Rica to see his daughter. Tanisha had already scheduled Malcom surfing lessons with Geist. Geist and Tanisha took Malcom to a secluded part of the beach where no one is. Geist and a few other surfers drowned Malcom while Tanisha went to go get food. The chief of police said Tanisha came back with no food and Geist was gone. Geist said he gave CPR for 45 minutes. The chief of police was there in 20 minutes and did not see Geist. Tanisha contacted TMZ and said she found out Malcom died in a phone call until paperwork party flew to Costa Rica and found a pic of Tanisha on the beach standing over Malcolm's dead body. Now, before we all put on our Nikes and run with this information, I do want to remind you that it's all alleged, but don't you just find it weird that all of these financial stipulations had to be put in place before she even married Malcom? It just seems like this was a marriage contract that was based off of what she could get if something were to happen to Malcom. Now, of course, I understand that financial stability is a main cause of concern. If the partner who has the most financial stability passes away, you definitely want to recoup something, because no one wants to be left high and dry, especially when there's a child involved. But there's a reason why Malcom didn't switch everything over so fast, and there's a reason why Malcolm's mom is not adhering to her request. And even though Miss Pamela Warner has not came out and spoke publicly about this situation, situation, I just personally feel that she doesn't trust Tanisha, and it all has to do with the way her son died. I think that Pamela feels a way, like most of us, like something is off here. Now again, I feel like Pam should be taking care of Malcolm's daughter. I could care less about the wife. I know that's kind of brutal or whatever the case may be, but until I feel like she's in the clear of no wrongdoing, this is how I'm standing on business when it comes to her. But I will say that this thought has crossed my mind that I wonder if Tanisha is going after all of this money because she owes the people that she hired to take out Malcolm. Now again, I want to reiterate that these are just my thoughts, not factual information. It's just something about her that is just off-putting, and I don't care how she looked on Gayle King. A lot of people said she looked flushed, she looked tired. Of course you will look flushed if you owe people money, and now your life is potentially in danger. But anyway, let's move along, and I want to talk about this situation that's brewing between DL Hughley and Brandon Tatum. If you guys are not familiar with Brandon Tatum, he goes by Officer Tatum online. He's a far right-wing conservative that always finds faults in the black community, but never find faults in any other community, and specifically the YT community, right? So if you guys don't know, Tatum has been covering this Nolan Wells story, and he actually flew down to Mississippi to meet with Warren Hudson, who is the son of a local judge there. And so by him meeting with Warren Hudson and other individuals that were on Horn Island the day that Nolan Wells passed away, he's come to his conclusion that black people are trying to demonize these kids because they are YT and they want these YT kids to be guilty, and that is Officer Tatum's stance on the whole particular situation. He's saying that black people cannot accept the fact that Nolan Wells accidentally drowned. Now, DL Hughley entered the chat and posted a picture of Brandon and his wife and highlighted the fact that this is why Brandon always demonized black people and always uplift YT people because of who he's married to. I want you guys to check out these clips and I'll be back.
This is Brandon Tatum.
Y'all just see what unfunny ex-comedian DL Hughley just said about me. Posted a picture of me and my wife. To do what? To be a racist? You are the lamest dude in all of comedy.
What is more lame than calling yourself the job you used to have? You're not an officer anymore. You were a football player who failed at being a football player. You didn't make the team, so you became an officer. That wasn't working out, so you became an influencer. You talked about emotion. What is more emotional than this?
The word.
You cried for a white dude who the people didn't even think you worthy to speak at his funeral. You said you wouldn't cry for your son, but you cried for him. That's not emotion? You talked of the way Benjamin Crump talks.
Just want to blame white folks. And so I go out there because I know that lame Al Sharpton and Mr. I Can't Read Benjamin Crump is just race hustling, y'all.
You talked about how those boys are innocent. You had proof. Now, I don't know whether they're innocent or not. I don't know what happened there. But I know one conversation with a failed football player and a social media influencer is not the predicate. You don't have any toxicology report. You don't have an autopsy report. You talked about black people acting a fool. Black people are right to be suspicious of a state that took 31 years and 3 trials to prosecute and find guilty the murder of Medgar Evers. Black people are right to be suspicious of a state that in 2005 found 215 black people that were dead and buried in a pauper's grave and nobody knew they were there. Black people are right to be suspicious of a state that just 1-year-old boy and nobody's being brought to account about. Black people are right to be suspicious of a state that has been poisoning black people with the water since the 1960s. Black people didn't look for this fight. They want justice. All they want is accountability. And if it's those boys, it should be that. Nobody has a predetermined notion. I don't know what happened. But if you're saying that Al Sharpton and that Benjamin Crump are on one side, you're certainly on the other. You talk to them for 2 days and now all of a sudden you know if they're guilty. You know if they're innocent. You know that. Your name is, your moniker is Officer Tatum, not Detective Tatum. You didn't make your way to detective. You're an influencer who says what white people want you to say. And don't you find it interesting that they chose to speak to you, and they chose to speak to you for the same reason that you're a conservative, for the same reason Turning Point did, because you're safe. They know you're a black man who'll do what he's told. You're an unremarkable black man who they know they can count on to be obedient. They pick you for the same reason they pick dogs. What is very interesting to me is this is Nancy Grace.
I left to believe that he goes out swimming all on his own, and the friend girl leaves, the mates from school leave, everybody just leaves him out in the water and he dies.
Now, Nancy Grace is a career prosecutor. She has tried 100 felony trials, 100, and not lost one. And she thinks that's something suspicious. But the social media influencer who failed at football and was a mediocre cop all of a sudden knows more than that? I don't know what happened. You don't know what happened. But I do know this. You said that a young woman with a pot of water acted so suspiciously that she should be shot by cops.
I think that this is justified, but it could have been avoided, but still justified. You can't throw boiling water on a police officer and not get shot.
But you don't think people that were on a boat with somebody, in proximity to somebody, and that person comes that day acting so suspicious they should be questioned? That's who you are. Debate you for what? What you are is what the people before you, you're Diamond and Silk, you're Candace Owens, you're Stacey Dash, you're that. And your career will age like avocados, because that's what they do. There'll be somebody else that replaces you. I've been around for 40 years doing what I do, and you still know my name. You know how I got to know yours? Somebody sent me a coon alert. They said, and you fit the bill. I don't know who you are, but I know what you are. I know what you do, because I've seen people like you in my entire life. You can assail my career, but my career is longer than your life. You mentioned my name, and I have no idea who you are. But I do know this, that one day, when all of this is done, and it'll be after the next election cycle, when people are wondering who you are, when you go the way of the Larry Elders, or the Sheriff Clarks, or the Candace Owens, or the Diamond and Silks, or the Stacey Dashes, or the Armstrong, like all of them, when you're there with them and you're wondering what happened, it's because you sold your soul for nothing.
Let me just say this, and I know people are going to clip this and get back, and I don't care. I really feel this way. I'm getting sick of black people, right? I like the black people like me and others that are conservative, that's smart, but the rest of y'all, I'm sick of y'all. It's hard to even want to be around black people, to be honest.
I have never once, and I've had a disagreement with a lot of black people that I've had disagreement, but I've never once had to make a video explaining I don't hate black people.
I do not hate black people. I know that people who are new to my channel, and you see people out there making these videos, it's comical to me, because I don't understand how accountability leads to hate.
You said you can't teach me, you can't make me hate white people. You said that.
You want me to hate white people. I'm not doing it.
My question isn't making you hate white people. I don't want that at all. What I want to know is, who the f taught you to hate us?
Need some oil on that freaking canvas he got on top of his head. He need to take his sunglasses off, but he need to have his sunglasses on so he can look at his teleprompter so he can talk trash to me. First of all, D.L. Hughley is not on my level. One point in time, D.L. Hughley used to be the man. At one point in time, I used to like D.L. Hughley, and I thought he was funny. Now, he was not even the top 5 in the Kings of Comedy, in my opinion. But I thought I respected his game. Just to grow up and realize D.L. Hughley is a simp, and he's a beta, and he's a crybaby, allegedly worth $10 million, but he's still crying about the white man every day. And he crying about the white man, yet he worked for white men companies. The one he worked for now is the CEO. I think it's run by black people, but there's also white people in C-suite positions in that company. It's not an all-black company. Black, blackity, black, 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 blackity, black. He's so black that he don't even care about black women enough to not cheat on his wife. He posted a picture of my wife. At least I ain't cheating on my wife. He cheated on his wife, got an outside baby. And a very unfortunate situation happened with his outside baby. And he want to come at me when he wasn't even there to protect his children. Then his young daughter gets into a situation with a minor, where they both were minors, and she came to her dad in confidence, her black father, in confidence, and said she was being he didn't believe her. brother, why you talking about me? I'm finna play the clip for y'all. Why you talking about me? You need to be worried about your own household. And let's put that in position, or put that in perspective. All the drama I just mentioned with his inner family, ain't now one of the suspects in that situation white. A white man didn't cheat on your wife. A white man didn't daughter. A white boy, I'd say. And a white man didn't take the life of your child whom you had out of wedlock while you were married. These are all black people doing this.
All right, so you heard what both of them had to say, and those were snippets of what they had to say. There's a lot more clips of them going at one another. Now, I do think that Tatum went too far when he involved the kids, although what he was stating was true about DL Hughley. As much as I don't rock with Brandon and his ideology, I have to say that I've been critical of why DL Hughley did not step up to the plate instead of being dismissive to his daughter's claims. But I don't think that Tatum should have brought that up in this situation. This was about Brandon and Brandon only, and the fortitude that Brandon possesses to defend those kids that were supposed to be friends of Nolan. But I guess when you post Brandon's wife, and even though DL didn't go into great detail about his wife, but clearly DL was saying, hey, his wife is white and this is why he stands on that side, the kids are just off limits. I don't think that Brandon should have went there whatsoever, and there's no other way to rectify this situation if you're DL but to see him face to face. When it comes down to it, it's nothing that you can say verbally. There's no need to go back and forward. In fact, I would just be very, very quiet moving on. I would have nothing to say, but I would put myself in position to meet him face to face one day to talk about the things that he had to say about my children when the beef that we had were between us. And the nerve that Tatum had to bring up the fact that DL Hughley's child unfortunately passed away was just abhorrently grotesque. This is why I say that DL needs to see him face to face. This is something that you can't apologize for. This is something that you can't buy your way out of. The A-whooping or more, okay? I'm keeping it respectful here. It's inevitable when you bring up my child that unfortunately passed away, and also the fact that my daughter had an unfortunate situation with a minor. I mean, he just went too far. But anyway, I'm gonna let this go right here. I want you guys to drop down in the comments and leave your thoughts. Other than that, I wish you guys a very productive day and be blessed this entire weekend. Peace.